Yo, welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. It's my bad. Yo, that was bad timing, man. My Alexa just decided to go out. But anyway, Thanks. You can stop now.
It's just Darcy here, and hey, Alexa.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How you doing, Alexa?
Otherwise, I'll remind you in an hour.
Oh, you know what I would really hope is
like my audio is gone too. Hold on.
You'd be the best part of this Alexa thing is if it like started reading off like stuff on its to-do list, and it's like, go by the grocery store, pick up more lube. No, okay. No, okay. I thought that would land. That didn't land. Okay.
Sorry, I was too busy figuring out what you were saying.
Yo, Tactix to get his audio back, or Alexa just like log on and turn off everything on his computer?
Well, I think we can still hear him, but I don't think he can hear us. How about we cover for him? Okay, so hello everyone, welcome for all the new people to our channel. We are the Geeky Bros Podcast, and we're going to be talking. Well, we had a bit of a hiatus, as you can tell by like the amount of hair I've grown, but also we have a lot to catch up on, and last week was not enough to catch up on. Well, like I think we barely were able to catch up on half of it. So let's just say we are going to continue the geeky news capturing and commentary, while also throwing in a few reviews. For those of you who are watching after our live event, just click down in the description and see our tags for our time stamps for each of the different topics that we're going to be covering. So if there's a specific one you want to go for, click on that. And we are now doing singular imaging on each of us because it is an artistic choice that we have heard that is good for podcasts. And so therefore, Darcy, I hope you understand that we all find you to be a prominent member of our community, of the geeky community, and we love your hair.
Yeah, thank you. I just got a cut today. So yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Fresh.
That's what I'm saying. Very fresh. Okay. So while we still continue to have some technical difficulties and lose members of our group, I think we will jump to the first topic.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So the first topic is going to be the a trailer that has come out. I think it was last week, called the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Geeky Bros are huge fans of the most recent trilogy, with Andy Serkis playing the title character under CGI, of course, the title character of Caesar. And this is, of course, a branched and rebooted trilogy of the Planet of the Apes saga, or franchise, I should say, really. And this film, which is being directed by Wes Ball, is meant to be a continuation of or a sequel to the last Planet of the Apes film called The War for the Planet of the Apes, which basically ended, spoilers, with the completion of the Caesar's character's arc. So this trailer had to do with the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and is set as, I'm assuming, a few generations after Caesar's reign, and is now showcasing ape society in its flourishing state, and humanity, from what it seemed, either have become feral or are kind of just like regressing into caveman aspects. So anyway, I am going to T, just making sure all things working on your side.
Yeah, but like my internet cut out at some point, so I didn't actually catch anything you just said.
Have you heard anything up until like 2 seconds ago?
I mean, I heard brief. Like I I don't know what this movie is about, and I know you just explained it, or like you gave like a brief synopsis, and I was like, this was like very vital for me because I actually don't know where this storyline takes place, and I just missed that entire description that you just gave. So I'm like, I don't even know what to say at this point.
Okay, all right. So the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a direct sequel to the War for the Planet of the Apes, which was the last one that came out in 2017.
Got it. Okay.
And this is taking place like a couple of generations later, with the ape society kind of like flourishing and humans basically regressing to caveman style. So seeing as how like and I'm going to you first because you and I, we went to see all of the Planet of the Apes in the movies like when it first came out. And I remember that the second Planet of the Apes, it was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, was was like yours and mine's favorite one. And like for audience members, just let's say Caesar is Tactix's boy. Because like he was like, I just remember you're like, yo, what's the point of watching Planet of the Apes if they go like that's the end of Caesar? I'm like, well, I mean, like he has other people, but anyway, I want to go to you first to see what were your thoughts on this trailer.
I mean, well, you just said it, bro. I mean, what's the point of like watching another Planet of the Apes movie if Caesar's gone, right? Like, I mean, we built up to his story arc and we got really invested in this character. And unfortunately, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, he ends up dying at the end of War of the Planet of the Apes, and quite tragically. But at least it was like bittersweet because he was able to like get his people to salvation and whatnot. And after all this bullshit that they endured over the course of the last two films, and I was kind of hoping that if we were gonna do another Planet of the Apes movie, we would get, and maybe we will. I mean, I missed kind of the description, so I don't even know if you actually mentioned it, but I was hoping that like this character that we have on screen was actually Caesar, like one of Caesar's youngest son, right? Because he had two sons.
Yeah.
And according the last time I checked on IMDb, it's a completely different character.
Really?
Yeah, it's not. It's the because I remember one of his sons' name was Blue or Blue Eyes or something like that, and then the other one was Cornelius. And this guy, I think his name is something completely different. And
okay. I have a brief synopsis. So it says many generations after the events of War of the Planet of the Apes, ape civilization have emerged from an oasis to which Caesar led his fellow apes, while humans have regressed to a feral state. When the ape leader Proximus Caesar perverts the teachings of Caesar to enslave other clans in search of the last traces of human technologies, Noah, who I'm assuming is on the image right now, a common chimpanzee, embarks on a harrowing journey alongside a young human named May to determine the future for apes and humans alike.
Yeah, so it's like it seems like it's like even though it's a continuation, I like maybe we'll get an introduction to some of the apes and Nova, who was the little girl in the last one, in this one.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're kind of like, because it's multiple generations ahead, it sounds like they're kind of taking the storyline in a different direction and like starting fresh. So it's kind of like almost not necessarily a reboot, it is a continuation, but from a different story perspective. So I mean, that could be interesting because I did very much enjoy the entire trilogy of the Planet of the Apes films, more than I thought I would. Going into this, I'm reluctant just because it's like a new take, and a new director that's taking on the helm. So if you can still capture same writer, that's good.
Or least. One of the writers is the same.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they can still capture the essence of the last one and make us care as much as we did in the original trilogy, with this one, then of course I'll be on board. I'm interested. I'm curious. It's something new. It's something different, and yeah, I want to see where they go with the storyline, because I felt like where we left off, that was kind of just the beginning, because
I think his internet cut out again.
I was
like
waiting for
apes had already like they were already established. They had like they could speak full proper English, and like they were already controlling. Oh, I'm gone. Damn.
No, you're back.
Am I
You're
back yet?
You're back.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up and just say I'm excited. I'm down to watch it. Next.
Okay. Darcy.
Oh, I hate when those connection issues happen. It's happened to me many times. That's why we have like a still photo. Yeah. So I have similar feeling. So I was like trying to go back while you were talking and just like remember the order of the film. So it's Rise, Dawn, then War are the first three films. I'm just like saying it because they have Of the Planet of the Apes is the rest of the title, so it's easier just to say it by like that one word. So we're going from Rise, Dawn to War to Kingdom, and like I have a similar feeling of like, after that trilogy, I wasn't looking for anything else. However, this trilogy has been so solid. So, am I rushing to the theater? No. I'm not on the edge of my seat ready to go. But when it comes around, I'm definitely open to it if it's like either like, people are talking a lot or I don't have a lot going on kind of a thing, and I'm looking to go do something, right? But or invited to something. But it looks like it's intriguing to me. It looks like it may be good. But I'm also kind of worried that it's like pushing too far. Doing too much when you had it perfect, it's like how some of our feelings of like after Endgame, like did we need more? But in this case, it's more of like a really well done artistic trilogy, and you're like, it's okay, like it was okay to leave it there. Like you don't gotta ruin perfection, okay? You don't have to add to it. So, however, all the notes that I'm seeing are looking like it's gonna be fine, and like everything I'm seeing in the trailer, and the idea of humanity going feral is quite interesting to me. Like I hope that's explored well, because if it's just kind of like humans are bad and they became worse, and then we're just going to focus on the ape story, that's fine. But I feel like there was something really provocative to present, in that if they can show for two humans how the apes are trying to move in a direction, and there are going to be problems with that, and then we would resonate with that, and then we also see the humans regressing, and they kind of, I don't know the right word of it, but it's kind of like a study of psychology of like how humanity can go in many directions, and you're doing this parallel of like how the apes are trying to progress, and they're running into problems that human society would run into. They're like 2, 3, 6 whatever generations in, and they're seeing the same problems that they try to get away from in the humans, that are seeing it in themselves, and that at the same time humans are becoming far worse. And I think that'd be an interesting study of psychology if they go that route, and that'd be the most intriguing to me. If it ends up just being a film of like humans are bad and they just don't, and it's just kind of like it just is, we have to accept it. Like when a movie's like they're evil for the sake of being evil, and then you have very typical plot points on the ape side, I think I'll be kind of like, you could have stopped at 3.
Okay.
Just stop at 3 if it ends up being a typical film with like a typical main problem and a semi-typical way of resolving it. I think it'd be way more interesting to me if this movie really delves into the psychology of humanity, and uses the parallels of like a non-human thing that tried to get away from humans ends up becoming like humans. That would be kind of interesting to me.
Interesting, yeah. I would. Okay, so based off so when I started watching the trailer, when I clicked on it, I'm like, I didn't ask for more, and I'm worried about where this is going. So I literally was like sitting like this when I was watching the trailer, and then as the trailer continued, I was kind of like, Okay. So like the trailer itself was able to bring me forward. However, as Tactix would say, that doesn't mean shit. And so I will say, given the description that I read just now, and also like the people writing it, so like there are 3 writers for the movie, and 2 of them wrote all the other movies. The third person is like I don't know him, but he's writing like a bunch of the Avatar films that haven't come out yet, so we don't know what he's like. And the director is the guy who did the Maze Runner trilogy.
Okay.
So I'm intrigued. I am kind of like you, Darcy. I am going to watch this movie, but I'm going to be tempered until I see the reviews. And even with the reviews, I'm not going to be like, obviously like jonesing for it. I'm going to go into this being like, I've seen the best this trilogy can give me. I am wanting something mature and as good, if not better. But I don't want stereotypical story points. If this is an in-depth look of how the apes are turning into us and we're turning into the apes, or some sort of other like nuanced reflection or commentary on the nature of consciousness and also civilization and how it affects people or just creatures in general, I'm in. If it's just going to be like humans are bad and apes are good, or apes are turning bad and humans are good, I'm not interested in the simplistic when we've had such impressive nuance and like in-depth psychological character studies and character arcs, like Tactix was saying. So this trailer, like, I find it beautiful. I find it intriguing. I am willing to check it out. So yeah, I guess yes.
Question. Sorry. Finish your point. I didn't mean to jump in.
I'm done.
No, I was just gonna go back to what Darcy said about not rushing into or not rushing to go see it in the theaters. Kind of a side question, but somewhat relatable, is what kind of movies nowadays would you find yourself rushing to go see nowadays? Because I find that, like, me personally, like, I'm not as eager to like go and like line up and like go watch a movie. Like, it has to be something like really, like, I think the last movie was probably like, like Endgame and like Spider-Man No Way Home. But other than that, like, I don't think I've really been all that eager to go and watch a lot of films that have come out as of late. Like, I still haven't seen the Marvels. I didn't even see the latest Mission Impossible movie. But I want to.
Okay, but bro, you got studies going on right now.
No, but the thing is, I still would have made time like on the weekend to go and watch it. If if it was like Endgame, guy, like, fuck study, I'm going to watch it, bro. Like,
okay, yeah, and that site is not. I mean, first off, when you were just saying those two, I'm like, Marvels, don't rush. Wait for that to go on Disney Plus, and then what was the next one you said?
Mission Impossible.
Bruh, put that on in the background. Put that on
For real.
Yeah.
It's
really
slow. It's slow.
It's entertaining, but it's entertaining in the sense of like you can wait. You can have it in the background because like there's not like you will hear when the big stuff is about to happen and just be like,
yeah. You know how we get annoyed when we watch a film? Like, I'm gonna use like The Crater as an example. We're like, oh, this is a good film, but Umar's like, third act's got problems. And then I'm like, this film feels like there's at least we found it was like 4 hours. Like, yeah, this film probably needed another 25 minutes just to flush it out. Okay, yeah, this is the film where you're like, we all felt like the production company were like, yeah, you should cut 25 minutes out of this film because it's slow. Like I was at points I was like watching like. Oh, there's a train. Let's go.
They spent so much time on that fucking train, man. Like the train had a 3-act structure, and it was like the end of the movie.
Oh my god,
damn, that's sad considering that it's like like one of 2 parts.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, this movie made like $600 million and lost money.
Yeah, well, I mean, those stunts are expensive.
Yeah, but yeah. I will say that I go see movies regularly, so I can't be the one to ask. I shouldn't be the one you ask this, but Darcy's a good one to ask.
Yo, the Batman. Besides the ones you said, the Batman's been the last film I'm really excited for. And I will say, like, I've been thinking about this. I was literally driving back, like, to do this podcast after picking up some food from Farboy, on my way I drive by the cinema, and I was thinking about this ironically, and I was like, yeah, I'm not like, because also we're having a bunch of nieces and nephews over, and they're like, oh, can we go to the movies? Because like two of them, they've only ever been to one theater movie ever. It was the last time we took them. They're young. The family they grew up in, they don't really go to the movies, so it's just like we introduced them to them. So they're like, oh, can we go? And so we're gonna go this weekend. And I was thinking, what am I gonna watch? Like, it's the first thing. I have no idea what's in the theaters. I just don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really excited these days paying attention to what's going on. And honestly, the last film for me has been the Batman. I think that they are generally superhero films. The creator was really intriguing, and then I enjoyed it while I was like really loved it while I was there. I feel like for me, I'm waiting for this mix of something very interesting with an adult aspect that is very creative, that is very strong in its creative direction, because I think that as much as I love the big Marvel films, even Endgame is bland in certain ways, in that it is the same exact color palette, the same exact tone, the same exact this, and you get it so many times, you get kind of like, is this all films are? And they're not, right? And then you see like the Batman, where it's just like, you just do people have done whole movies now, or like YouTube videos on just the cinematography or just the lighting or just the music use. And the creator has that too. Like, I just want things that like really intrigue me and surprise me and do something different. And until I see those, I'm just kind of like, I don't want the same thing. If we go to the comedy space or the drama space or the horror space, there's so much repetition that I'm like, I'm not intrigued unless they push an envelope at this point. And I go see the Marvel films because, you know, I've seen all the other Marvel films, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, do I want to keep seeing all the Marvel films?
Yeah.
Darcy, are you into like indie films, like watching like the A24 films?
No, not in any particular. Put it this way, if somebody comes out and says, yo, you need to check this out, I'm gonna be like, okay. But until that point, or until I see, like, I'm surfing around YouTube and someone's saying like, you really should check out this film, it does an amazing thing with this, and I've never heard of it. Like, Umar, I sent you that clip from The Killer, and now I'm intrigued to watch The Killer, because forget the name of the director, but they're talking about how when they're filming, whenever they're doing like a monologue and everything is controlled, they do like a stationary camera. But the second something interrupts him, or like he's in a fight and he has to figure stuff out, it's a handheld camera and it's like jittery. And then there was a moment where they filmed something where they're in a fight and the character got thrown off screen, and it's like the camera was like late to react and had to catch up. And it was like, whoa, this cinematography just seems interesting. Like, I want to watch it. And everything about the David Fincher, I think it's
I think so. I was trying to remember myself.
You know, who's always amazing, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is enough of the things that intrigue me to want me to run out and check out this film, because I think I'm going to be, how to put it, like, my brain is actually going to be engaged, and maybe my, you know, my emotions and all that, versus something where like I kind of shut off, right? And you're getting like elevated Fast X, you know, like half the time when you go to the movies. So
okay, cool. All right, moving on to our next topic. So this is for those of you who watched our show, you'll know that I do this quite often. This is me kind of throwing in a last minute topic, and I've already seen that T is getting angry at me, so you know I'm just going to keep walking right past that, and also Darcy. Anyway, so something came out very recently, like this week, recently, where it's kind of done a massive shakeup with Marvel Comics, specifically in the X-Men universe. Now, my bros, you are aware of Nightcrawler, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay, so this is going to be spoiler warning for people who are reading the X-Men Blue comics. Spoiler. So what has happened is
find them.
they have decided to retcon Nightcrawler's origins. Now, as it was understood, the first step was Nightcrawler was like, left as a baby, found by a circus, raised. Then it was revealed that Nightcrawler was actually the biological son of Mystique. Then it was revealed that Mystique, hooked up with some like rich dude and then gave birth to Kurt, and then she had to like run away from her life and also like get rid of the baby. Then it was revealed, and no one was happy about this. Someone new came in, like, basically Mystique had sex with a demon named Azazel, and he's from a different dimension and has a tail, and that's why Kurt looks the way he does. And everyone was like, "What?"
Yeah,
and yeah, exactly. That's exactly what everyone was saying. It's like that was not needed. So now Marvel has decided to. So Chris Claremont, when he originally was pitching the Mystique being the parent of Nightcrawler, he had an idea that was immediately rejected by Marvel Comics, and now they've apparently gotten to the level where they can accept this idea, and has now been retconned and made official through X-Men Blue.
So before you drop this idea, just want to make sure I clarify. This idea was pitched before we found out that Mystique was the mother, before they did that in the comics. Okay, I just want to.
This was supposed to be the original way when he so this is like back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, I'm just having a feeling this is going to get weird, so I'm just.
Oh, it is.
That.
All right, hold on. So the way it is that Mystique is not the mother; she's the father.
Oh.
Mystique has a lesbian relationship with Destiny, who is another mutant, who is a female. And so she shapeshifted into a man, and they all hooked up. And see, your face right now is killing me.
Wait, what? What are you talking about right now, bro?
I'm following how this is working. Yep.
So Mystique shapeshifted into a man because she wanted to have, or like her and Destiny wanted to kind of have a kid. And so since she could, she did. And she got Destiny pregnant. And Kurt is the result.
I have so many questions. Okay.
First off, this just sounds like a trap. Okay. Bringing this whole topic here just feels like we're trying to get canceled. Okay. Just sounds like a trap. Is all I'm saying. Go ahead.
To your questions.
Okay, now I gotta tread carefully. Okay, so I need some understanding in terms of how Mystique's powers work exactly, because I was under the impression. I thought she just could look the part. I didn't know she could actually have working parts. Like, how does that? So she could like turn into a man.
And the internet cuts out.
Like all of that. Like,
okay, so the way they're saying is that Mystique has, like, her shapeshifting is so advanced that she can, again, I'm trying to remember specifically what it was, but basically her shapeshifting is so advanced that she's able to kind of like rewrite her DNA.
So let me ask a clarifying question that's actually more geeky. If this, when she mimics another superhero, does she have their superhuman abilities?
That was gonna be my next question.
She can't replicate the X gene.
So she can't get their gene, but she can get their sperm. Okay, just
how does that work? What the fuck is going on?
It's like, why? Why do you have to take it there? It's just so like, okay.
What's like? No, I'm actually liking this a little bit, but like, I will admit the science part is a little confusing, and also the fact that like Professor Xavier wiped their memory and also wiped it from his own memory is also kind of a thing. I'm like, what? But like, so like that's just comics being comics, I guess. Like this is them trying to retcon it in the most X-Men way possible. But I will say the fact that like Kurt is the product of two women, one being a man at the time, is kind of dope.
I'm fine with it. I just don't understand it. How did it happen? How did we get here?
Okay. I'm wondering if the juice was of Mystique's DNA, or if it was the person she was replicating. Also, who did she replicate for?
That's a good fucking question. Like, whose sperm is it? Like, who? Like, how do you just manifest like DNA sperm? Like,
hold up. Can you imagine Mystique copies your body, and then you have to pay like child support for a kid because you biologically are their father, but you're just like, no, she
teleports on your step and be like, yo, daddy, what up? Like,
she's like, no. She made herself look like me, and all the so all right, let me get into some points I wanted to make about this.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem at all with like a shape-shifting character having this ability and then creating a mutant of this. My only thing is like, I feel like you just on the like history you gave about Kurt's backstory, and I don't have a better way of saying this, but I felt like that pool was too dirty to like do this with. I think you should have started fresh, as in you have a different character, not Mystique, who has this ability, so that way we don't have we can say their abilities are slightly different than Mystique's, and then you birth a child that way, and then you do that kind of story. But when you do it with these ones, and then you already have this weird background, it makes that feel less how do I put
prominent?
Like less prominent, less of the statement that it's trying to make, because it just seems like it sounds now like when he's a son of a demon. It just sounds like it's in that literally in the same ballpark, because it's under the same umbrella of stuff. I feel like you should just had a clean slate and did with a different set of characters and have like a different story. Because if it was done the time that it was originally meant to do it, then I think that would have been a big, bold statement, especially since that would have been back in an era where it wasn't popular to talk about this stuff.
It was shut down. It was literally shut down. FYI, Courtney's last comment kills me. She's like, kindly never say juice again in this context, please. My apologies.
You know the worst part when I was dying when you said that? So my boss has a statement that's not related to this, but it went through my head when you said it. So he says at work, when we're talking about like taking on some task that's just not worth doing it, he says the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And you said that, and I just died. I just died because all I could think of after you said that.
I was gonna say seed, but I felt that was too much, so I went with juice, and that was the only other thing. I think because I remember juice is worth the squeeze, and that's like where my mind went. Because like, yo, T, you're dying right now.
So wrong. Oh my.
Wow.
This episode has gone off the rails.
Yes. This is why I'm so glad you guys didn't read the article I sent.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be something worse than that too. Which, because I saw the picture, and I thought you were gonna say like there was multiverse stuff, and she was his mother and his lover or something like that. So I thought it was gonna get real like yeah. I was like, I don't know if this is just different, but it's just wow. Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next topic. So staying with the Marvel theme, we have received some very interesting rumors, and again, these are just rumors right now. Nothing is confirmed, but the rumor is that Marvel Studios, the MCU, is looking to cast Doctor Doom. People are hypothesizing that he's going to be playing big. Also, I should say that Jonathan Major staying as Kang the Conqueror, or that Kang the Conqueror is still remaining to be the main villain, seems to be where they're going. So it sounds like if they're keeping Kang, they're going to probably recast Jonathan Majors. Anyway, the idea of Doctor Doom being a alternative or secondary villain, excuse me, has been making a lot of rounds right now, especially for Avengers Secret War. And the person that they have in mind is Cillian Murphy. Now, I will say that I love Cillian Murphy. I find him to be a truly capable actor in many senses. He did a fantastic job as Jonathan Crane as Scarecrow, and I loved him in Oppenheimer. And like, I know people loved him in 28 Days Later, I think. And like he has, and also like he is beloved for Peaky Blinders. I can see him doing a fantastic job. However, me personally, I still really want Mads Mikkelsen to do it. That's just me. I may be old-fashioned on this one, and I may be the one to lose out here, but that's just me. But I still like Cillian Murphy, and I still think he can kill it. But I wanted to know what my bros think. Darce?
By the way, before we move on, also he was in Inception. That was also, I mean, it wasn't his best role, but you know, still calling
basically any Nolan film, really.
Yeah, good point there. Yeah, truly. They brought him on one time. I'm gonna keep working with you.
That's like Nolan's entire casting list.
Nolan and Gunn are very similar. That
yes.
they keep people around that they want to work with.
Yeah.
So I'm all in for this. As much as I like what you're saying about Mad, there's something about Cillian that I feel like might be more fitting, because Cillian's so talented, and there's something about him that I just kind of feel like he would do this a little bit better potentially. He's got that edge to him. I don't know what it is. I feel like he's gonna have that ability to have that regal element to him that's just gonna be fantastic. Like just watching him in interviews, and in Oppenheimer, there was a part of him that the way the cast talked about him, he felt separate, and his character was meant to feel that way. At least I understand. I haven't watched the film yet, but they kind of talked about him like he was not like, what do you call it when you act, you like
method acting.
Character. Method acting. It wasn't like, it was something like they were describing it like method, but he wasn't entirely method, but he was so consumed in it that he became kind of separate, and they like learned a little more about him in the interviews than they did on set, and whatnot. And there's something about like that level, but he's not like, again, I don't think he's full method or anything like that, that I think would also weigh very well into this role. I also think the age is also an important part of this too, because if we're gonna have Doom around for a little bit, I definitely think that his 47 to like something. I don't know what Mads is, but like he's 47, and I assume Mad is closer to like 60.
Also, Mads was in the first Doctor Strange movie, and that's where a lot of people are saying, well, he can't play it, but like,
yeah, but I just, as much as like Mads is amazing, I think his natural accent would work, but I think Cillian has the ability to flex his accent into a more like the way I would imagine Doctor Doom to be. And it's just something about my gut just kind of sits with that. If he comes in, I'm gonna be really interested in this, because he's gonna up the acting chops, and I just hope that they darken the profile. Like change the tone of these films visually and how they feel, because we need a little more maturity. We need a little bit more, something that scares us a little bit. These films can't always just be so pretty and average. And if you're gonna bring a man like this in here, I best not come in here and feel like he's at this level and everybody else is kind of just doing the normal thing. So anyway.
Yeah. T?
I'm with Darcy. I like this. I like this potential casting too. I think Cillian be killing it out in these streets, man. Like I've liked him in almost everything I've seen. I still haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, but he's done a few good villain roles. Like he did it's like an old movie with Rachel McAdams, the Red Eye.
Oh, that was a
He
good.
was
Oh,
he was good in that one. Of course, in Batman Begins as Scarecrow, he was phenomenal in that. Oddly enough, he auditioned for Bruce Wayne, Batman.
I heard.
And
I heard.
Christopher Nolan liked him so much, not as Bruce Wayne, but decided to give him the role as Scarecrow, which I thought was like perfect because he bodied that role. He's done what else? Quiet Place 2.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Okay.
No.
Yeah, so he was good in that as well. So yeah, I think I agree with Darcy. I think bringing him into this is going to be really, it's going to be different, and I think they need to take a more serious tone with it, and there has to be an element of like when this character is introduced, he has like a presence to him, almost like I want to say, I know I refer to him a lot, but like almost like a Thanos, where it's like when he's on screen, you're kind of like, oh shit, like this guy is like head honcho, like he's about to like wreak havoc on some shit, right?
I want him to be like a Thanos, and I don't even want to say the Green Goblin. I want a Thanos Willem Dafoe from No Way Home like presence, like because like when Willem Dafoe when Spider-Man's like in the room and he's like his tingle is going off and he shoots and like he gets a goblin's hand and like he's like, quite a sense you have there, like,
yeah,
that is what I want.
So put it this way, I like, for me, what I think needs to happen. So if we're introducing him in like a Fantastic Four film, for example, I think it has to be on the level of like The Dark Knight Returns, where the villain steals the show, right? Where it's like he's the, because like I think that's what lacked in a lot of like the previous Fantastic Four films, where it was like
or
Doctor
like
Doom.
Yeah.
Well, just the Fantastic Four, all of the iterations of the Fantastic Four movie, like all Doctor Doom is like, I remember from the animated show, like he was like a force, he was a presence, but in the movies, he's kind of like he's not the business. He's not really all that interesting, and like you don't really care about him. He doesn't seem all that menacing, and he's like almost like a joke in and of itself, right? Whereas with like this, if you get Cillian on board with this, and like he's able to bring that same level, like kind of like what he did with Scarecrow, but obviously like to a much higher degree, I think that could really, really work well, and he could be a very big, imposing force that continues on beyond Fantastic Four, because I like. Doctor Doom is like a problem not just for the Fantastic Four, but like for a lot of the heroes, right? So
he is he is as smart as Mr. Fantastic and Tony Stark. He has the technology similar to Tony Stark. He has magical capabilities that rival Loki and also Doctor Strange.
And I never felt that in any of the previous films.
Yeah,
exactly.
The first one feels like a failed Tony Stark.
Yeah,
like he just feels like he just that's it, failed Tony Stark. And the second one felt like somebody just Googled what Doctor Doom was and then just made something up. Like
GPT, Doctor Doom.
That was pre-Chat GPT. That was version -1.
That was Ask Jeeves, bro.
Yes.
Oh, that's
that was good. Ask Jeeves, Doctor Doom. Oh, great.
Oh yeah. So but you were saying T.
Yeah, no, that's it. I want elements of what we haven't had yet in a Doctor Doom character, and I think Cillian can really bring something great to the table in regards to this character if he's casted, if the rumors are actually true. And I think it would make I think it would build a little bit more intrigue with Fantastic Four, at least based on my opinion, because I'm not overly excited about seeing a Fantastic Four film because I've been let down in the past several times. So at this point, like, you really have to. Yeah, at this point, you really have to wow me with these trailers, and even then, like I've been fooled before by the trailers. So like you just have to give me a good movie, and then I'm sold.
Yeah, especially coming off that Peaky Blinders, like that just I haven't watched that yet. I need to watch that, but just the clips of him in Peaky Blinders are like they're epic. They're just epic clips. And I'm like, yeah, if he brings a level of that, but like a totally different, like obviously the appropriate character with the appropriate accent and stuff like that, but that kind of gravitas that he has, holy, can you just imagine that
Yeah.
the way he talks and everyone feels like they're about to die all the time. You're just like, you imagine like Peter Parker going into to a scene and he's like joking, and then the way he interacts, Peter Parker goes stoic, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, we need to pay
Yeah.
attention. If Peter's not joking anymore, we need to pay attention. So,
Yeah, exactly. So like this is Doctor Doom. Like he has always like since I've started reading up on him like 10 years ago. Like he is a problem, a significant problem. And you're right. It's always been a joke. So like Cillian Murphy, if he does get it, that shows that Marvel hopefully isn't like taking it for granted. At the same time, we still need a writer to like do it right. Director, to do it right.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what would he want to take it? Because I feel like a lot of the roles that he does take, they're very serious and like I was surprised that he went for the Batman film, but then given who the director was, I think that's what sold him on it, right? So with Marvel, especially the way it's been right now, I don't know. Like it would have to be a really good script, and then if he does take it, then it just means that there's like he probably sees something in the script, and that will probably increase my confidence a little bit.
Darcy, you're muted.
sorry, yeah, I muted myself for a second there. I was thinking the same thing, in that like him taking the role to me feels like it has to be at a different level, and I just don't see him not taking on a role and it just being like for the money at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've learned actors aren't paid shit half the damn time, so it could be for the money.
But he's not one of those actors.
But he has a lot, and I feel a lot of skill, and I feel like that just demands that like everybody else coming to that table have to come to that table correctly. So.
Okay, well, we shall see how this story progresses. Moving on to our next MCU set of news. Okay, so this is something that has been a sore point for all three of us in different ways and different reasons, except for the last movie, which all of us collectively hated and trying to remove from our minds. So, Thor 5 has entered the news. Well, I should say Thor franchise has entered the news. Mostly because we have, on one hand, Taika Waititi kind of shit-talking his involvement with Marvel, which, I mean, I get. And then on the other hand, we're hearing rumors that Thor 5, which I should preface this by saying that Chris Hemsworth said that he will only do Thor 5 if it is worth doing, in that it is a different tone and different style, and kind of like people took it as like not like a serious movie, but like a better form, which, to be fair, we all want. So MCU's response is to give us reports that Gareth Edwards is attached to Thor 5. For someone who had kind of lost hope in Thor, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Thor comics fan. Like, the reason why I hated Thor Love and Thunder so much is because it like actively discredited two of my favorite storylines of Thor. But with Chris Hemsworth saying, yo, you guys need to shape up if you want me to come back, with Taika Waititi not anywhere near that movie, and the fact that they're getting Gareth Edwards hopefully potentially to sign on for the film, you have my attention. Now, if they get Gareth Edwards, that is one thing. Unfortunately, all of the stories I would have absolutely loved to see Gareth Edwards direct have all been used up in the last 3 films. So I'm there are a few leftover Thor stories that I think are a good idea for them to do. For example, the J. Michael Straczynski's run in Thor when he comes back from the dead after Civil War. He comes back, and Asgard is empty and alone, and just like due to Ragnarok, it appears over America, and Thor is the only occupant of Asgard and has the All-Father's power, and basically has to restart Asgard by himself. And he basically forces the American government to allow Asgard to like hang in the air. I can see something along those lines happening. Just I don't see it going the way because like Valkyrie's now in charge of New Asgard, so I don't see that storyline taking place. There's also the Fear itself storyline, which that it's written by a pretty iconic writer, and it has to do with Odin's brother, who is deranged. I think he was like the god of fear. Yes, yeah, the god of fear, because death was Hela. So like the god of fear basically coming down and like messing with like he messes with Odin's work because Odin's dead, and like Thor has to step forward and like stop all that stuff. If they do those storylines and Gareth Edwards in charge, and they kind of make Thor, I don't want to say like serious, but at least like do it what they did in Infinity War and Endgame, where it's like an actual character-driven. You can have comedy, but also have the drama, and also have when was the last time I was awed by Thor when he's like turning on like the engine in Nevedalia? Like, I want that level of epic scale with Thor, and we haven't seen that. And case in point, like we have on the screen. Anyway, I've been ranting for a little bit, so I'm going to go to my bros. I'm actually very interested to see what Tactix has to say about this, given his deletion of Thor: Love and Thunder from the actual MCU list. So, T, what are your thoughts on hearing all of this stuff?
I don't care. Okay.
I'm sorry. After the last Thor, I'm just kind of like, I jumped ship, man. Like, I didn't really like. I wasn't on board with Thor, the first one. I know that that holds a special place in your heart, Umar, because of the Shakespearean vibe and everything. Thor 2 was some bullshit. Thor 3, I liked. Man, I don't even remember that. If it wasn't for Endgame, I would have would have completely went over my head, man. Like, so Thor Ragnarok, I enjoyed, and I thought going into Love and Thunder, we were gonna get the same kind of level, and they just doubled down on the humor, and it ruined my entire experience. And so now it's just like I don't really care for where the Thor storyline is going. Like, everything that I found interesting about Thor was I've seen already, and I just don't know where they could really take his storyline from here at this point. So it's sad because he's like one of the OGs, and he's like the one that I care about the least, like the care about the least.
Yeah.
Next to Hulk now.
What about Hawkeye?
So here's the thing about Hawkeye. Like, I felt like he had a good run in his show. I'm in the minority on that one because like I don't, from what I remember, you guys didn't really enjoy the show all that much.
Not really.
I found it to be okay. I actually kind of liked it. And
it was okay. Yeah. I enjoyed the two of them when they were together a lot. There were some good scenes.
Yeah. So I thought Hawkeye. I think they could have done like more stuff with Hawkeye. But for what they gave us, I thought he was fine. But yeah, I think Thor kind of peaked, man. Okay. And so yeah, I know they set up the whole Hercules thing. That has the potential to be interesting, but again, I don't really know where they're gonna go with that. And it's kind of mid at this point. I'm not overly excited about it, and I don't even know who the Gareth Edwards guy is. So
the creator.
He hasn't seen the creator.
No, I have seen it.
Oh, you have seen it? Oh,
I've seen it. Yeah.
Other notable films would be Rogue One and Godzilla.
Which Godzilla?
The
2008.
one where the one he was barely in.
Okay.
The one with the MCU's running dude and I can't remember his name.
Basically Quicksilver and Wanda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bryan Cranston
couple
were
of
in it.
Bryan Cranston. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, still does nothing for me. So
Cool.
yeah, don't really care.
At least we well rounded your knowledge of who he is to see to
Yeah.
make sure that you're
Yeah.
in or out. So
Appreciate it.
Darce?
well, I mean, I think this will be hopefully a good conclusion to the Thor trilogy. And by that I mean there is Thor Ragnarok, and then this film. Because the way the Thor franchise has worked is that it's one decent film, one film we write off. One decent film, one film we write off. So we're coming to the third decent film, and that's gonna be the trilogy right there. There's just gonna be only 3 films, and then 2 things we don't know existed. So, by the way, I absolutely just love this shot of I forget her name right now, but the dude on the
Roy
right
Kent?
from Roy Kent. Oh my gosh, that's such an epic shot for him. But I'm not saying it's like a great character, but I'm saying it's an awesome shot. I'm intrigued by the fact that Gareth Edwards is involved. Is it slated that he would, in the rumor mill, that he would be writing and directing, or just directing?
Right now, it's only said that he's the director. He potentially would be the director.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's... Don't get me wrong. I know the Godzilla film had very little Godzilla, and that was annoying, but it did an amazing job of really showing scale and showing it from a very real perspective that none of the other films did.
Ooh, this is a great image, by the way. Sorry.
And he has a great ability to show scale in all of his films, which is something he focuses on, right? And so from that perspective, and you saying the whole seeing Thor in an epic way, that's very intriguing, right? Because it would be intriguing to show Thor do something think of how in Godzilla, they took the shots from where people would actually be, standing on top of a rooftop, kind of like how Pacific Rim did, but even more realistic. And then you had Godzilla coming through, and all you could see is oh my gosh, I'm the size of one scale on this dude, right? And seeing Thor do something from a distance that you're that's the scale of what he does, that's how big what he does is, he's as powerful as a Godzilla, right? Visually, right? That's intriguing. But I don't know about the story, right? I think we might get a very visually amazing film, but I don't know where that story is going to land, and that part of me is worried about it. So I'm more intrigued than I would be if it was just any other director, but I'm not sold this is going to be an amazing film, and I can't wait to see it. So hopefully we see an amazing trailer that just makes us all go, yep, this is the third film of the trilogy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Chris Hemsworth seems to be very passionate about this character at this point, where he obviously doesn't want to end on a sour note, that being Thor Love and Thunder. I think if he's gonna say goodbye to the character, then he wants to say goodbye on really great terms, go out with an epic bang, to the point where he leaves people leaves people more than satisfied, where they're that was a good send out, kind of on the same level of what they did with Tony Stark, even though there's rumors that they're gonna bring him back and completely retcon that whole thing, but that was a good send off for that character. And then who else is a good example of that? Well, Tony Stark is really the only one I can think of at this point. But I feel Thor, if he's gonna say goodbye to that character, then he wants to have a proper send off as well.
Yeah. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield.
Oh, so what are you talking about from No Way Home? for No Way Home.
Yeah, like those. That's like a one way you can kind of like close out the character.
Yeah, those were good send off. I mean, yeah, because I like Toby definitely left on a bad note with Spider-Man 3, and then obviously with Andrew Garfield and Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So they definitely got like a second chance to kind of redeem themselves, but not in their own movie. Correct. So with this, he would have like a full. Oh man, my thing is. Oh, so my bad.
Okay. So just a couple of comments from Courtney. She's like, first she said, at this point, I would take a Wes Anderson's Thor over another repeat of Love and Thunder. Wait, now I want a Wes Anderson Thor. I hear that. That would be actually I wouldn't say I hear that in terms of Wes Anderson Thor. I do understand what you mean. And also to answer your question, Tactix, Courtney is saying, what about Wolverine? With Logan?
With Logan. Yeah, that was a pretty good send off. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So like I think all those characters like if you've been playing a character for 10 plus years, then I think at some point you're gonna have to say goodbye to the Captain America was another one where they like he had a really great send off as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like I think if you're playing a character for that long, you definitely don't want to end on like a shitty note where like the last memory or the last movie that you have of this character is something that didn't do well. You know what I mean? Like at least with even with like, for example, like we're all in agreement that the Dark Knight Rises wasn't spectacular,
but it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. Like I think the way that they handled that character, like you gave him a proper send off, and then it leaves it kind of open ended, where it's like, oh, what was that ending about? Was it a dream or what? So I thought that was great the way that they handled it. And I think every character, when you've invested this much time into a character, and us as the audience, we're investing our time into watching these characters like develop. I think both us as an audience and the character and the actor deserve a proper send off.
Agreed.
So
Absolutely.
in that, with that in mind, I think that would be the only thing that would have me excited, knowing that Chris Hemsworth really values the character, and I think he's of the mind where he's like, I want a good send off. I want people to remember this character as being someone that was epic and not just a fucking joke. You know, so yeah.
With goats.
Yeah. Oh, that shit was annoying.
Okay.
I enjoyed myself in that film the first round, but after trying to watch it again, it was not good.
The first time I watched it, I was like mildly entertained, and then like the more I thought about it, the just more it pissed me off. But yes, we're just all repeating ourselves at this point.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next topic. Now, this topic is brought up mostly because our boy Darcy kind of already called it, and it sounded like the universe decided to listen. So The Boys, our favorite from Amazon that we just started talking about. It's a spin-off series, Gen V, which just finished. It's getting a second season, and also the season 4 of The Boys is coming out sometime soon. I don't know when. But Amazon being like, hey, okay, we're batting pretty good right now. Let's throw out another spin-off. Have decided to take Darcy's idea and are doing a Mexico City Latin Spanish language spin-off of The Boys in Mexico. And it's going to be starring excuse me, like the creator Eric Kripke is still going to be in, like part of it, so that's good. But it's going to have my boy from Andor. I do not remember his name, and I'm just trying to find it right now because my thing has decided to freeze on me. Okay, Diego Luna is going to be starring in it, and oh god, I hope they fully listen to what you suggested, Darcy, and have Homelander show up to it. Because can you imagine him showing up in Mexico? And anyway, so the news about this has recently come out. We don't have a lot of lot of information aside from the fact that Diego Luna is going to be a part of it, and it's also going to be like, I'm not sure if it's like fully Spanish speaking or if it's just going to have all Spanish speaking actors on it and be based in Mexico. Nonetheless, that is yet to be revealed. But nonetheless, I wanted to hear, Darcy, what are your thoughts on being heard by the universe?
I mean, I'm obviously super excited when you ask for something and then you receive that thing. Fantastic, And for those who didn't, see or hear the last podcast, basically my whole thing was I just wanted to see the boys in a different place, because I want to see what the effects of, not Gen G, but the V
Compound
serum.
V.
Compound V. I can remember the name. What Compound V means in other parts of the world, especially if it's after the point that everyone finds out that it's Compound V, or maybe these people always knew that it was Compound V in their part of the world, and they weren't, they weren't following the lie that the United States was following. And I just find it very intriguing to see what that means from a completely different perspective, right? Are they more impoverished in this community because of it? Are they becoming affluent because of it? Is it like, what does it mean, right? Because I think that just looking at it from the corrupt version in the United States is only one way of seeing it, and that so many other communities could be so wildly impacted by this Compound V. So I'm excited by this. I'm all in. Can't wait to see it. Love that I'm hearing that there is going to be proper cultural representation. I do hope that there is a strong emphasis on the use of the Spanish language. I hope that it's in a way where it's kind of fluently going back and forth and to whatever degree, so that it feels not like a completely, I hate to use this word, but foreign film or foreign show to the rest of the universe, but just in an appropriate way that feels right and natural. And so I'm all in. Thank you.
T?
If you had asked me this before having viewed Gen V, I would have been like, nah, I'm not for this. But after watching Gen V, I'm on board for any spin-offs that they develop from the boys, because man, the series as a whole, both like the boys and Gen V have pushed the limits beyond what I could even comprehend, and I love it. Like it makes for really great entertainment, and the way that they've been developing both storylines, and like the great thing is that I thought going into Gen V, it was going to just be another carbon copied, watered down version of the boys, and it's not. It's a completely different. There's definitely a lot of similarities, but it's its own show. And I'm hoping that with this other spinoff, it's going to feel very different from that of Gen V and not just a carbon copy. So if they can find the uniqueness, within their ability to tell different stories that are still kind of an amalgamation of all of this, that's all kind of intertwined, I think that's going to make for really great television, and I'm on board for it. I love, Amazon is just killing it right now, man. So bring it on. I'm ready for it.
Quick thought to put out here. Sorry, as you're talking, you made me think of something. You guys remember the Gods and Monsters animated film where they showed Superman? What if it was the son of
Lex or
son of Zod, and he
Zod, yeah.
And he landed in Mexico, and he was
right,
and he had a different perspective. I wonder if they could take notes from that. Just obviously not the Zod falling, but just the whole
I can see that.
Because it's it's just the Superman coming up from a completely different perspective, instead of being the all happy and everything good, Kent farm. It's living with communities that are literally trying to escape horrible poverty situations, and are and refugees and not being treated well. And so it's what if they take a note from that, bring that into this element, and you're dealing with all these people that are real world stuff that we're seeing, but you're throwing what happens if you put Compound V in the middle of that can get really wild.
I actually would want the almost opposite of that, where it's you're seeing how these communities, Compound V is almost like an outside influence, like it's something used to destabilize. And you see how they are like a rich community on themselves, and how because of outside influence from America, it completely destabilizes, and they are left to kind of like work with it as a result.
So a parallel of like in our world, we use war to destabilize. I'm not saying we should or whatever, but communities use war and other types of things to destabilize and take resources. And so in this case, it's like the exact same story, but done with Compound V as another way of getting in instead of creating wars amongst communities. Yeah, that could be very strong, and I could definitely see them doing something along that level.
100%.
Yeah, and all that's in the same vein. It's just, just the idea of like, what does it do, right? In this world, do some of these communities get their hands on Compound V and are trying to change their situation for the better? Is Compound V, like you're saying, being used, and people like Homelander very clearly are a weapon to destabilize other areas? And we've seen hints of that in the boys shows, where like you've gone to like literally around the world, went to some power plant, some random country, like literally just destroyed everybody, and then came back. And it's like, okay, well, what happens? What is it like being there?
Exactly.
And then just bring the camera there and let's live there for a while. And then you can still have the whole season lead up to Homelander just comes in and kills everybody at the end.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all in.
I'm all in. All right. Moving on to our next topic that is also on the Amazon front. So we have been always talking about how much we adore Amazon's Invincible, not just like basically the boys and also Invincible. We're killing it. Last week, not all of us were able to have watched the like I knew based off the comics, but I didn't watch it, and neither did Tactix. So today we're gonna give our full review, full review of Invincible season 2, episode 4, which was the mid-season finale, which we have to wait like a couple weeks. And yeah, so like if you haven't watched that episode, sorry, we're gonna be talking about it. I got to hear what my bros have to say. Wait, I know I heard a little bit of what Darcy had to say, but like T, let's start with you, man. What were your thoughts? And just lay into it, brother.
Hold up, before he answers, because I asked him this off the podcast, but we gotta ask this on the podcast. Were you ready for what was gonna happen in the episode?
Holy garbanzo beans! No, I was not, bro. Like that, I knew. Like, sorry, no, I didn't know. I anticipated that this shit was gonna like drop bombs on me, but like, bro, holy, like I'm like me and my girl, like, so we start, like, I got my girl into it, which I mentioned last week. What I didn't mention was that this was like the mid-season finale. So we're watching this and she's getting fucking hyped, like she's amped. Only thing that she found disturbing was that the Omni-Man slept with a bug chick, but we're not going to talk about that. But
it's not that like it's not that weird.
I mean, like, okay, that's your prerogative, Umar.
He has gone to different planets through his life. This man has probably like had some stuff with some different people. Star-Lord hooked up with a guard Audibarian.
Don't
so
know
you
that
saying
is.
you're gonna hook up with a caterpillar or like a?
I watched Star Trek
mantis?
going up. There's some definite aliens. I was like, hey,
interesting. Okay.
I'm not saying
too much on this podcast right
now.
Man's out here like I need 8 tentacles.
No, I'm just saying.
If it's not a millipede, I'm not interested.
Oh no! I would not go grasshopper, but I'm just saying that, like, you know.
Moving on.
T, going back to your review, bro.
Something's wrong with you, bro. We got to talk later. But yeah, like this was fantastic. Like we can obviously spoil this, right? Like
yes,
we can talk. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, a lot of interesting things happen. Like I love the moment when Mark sees Nolan for the first time, and you could see the hatred in his eyes, but at the same time he's kind of like conflicted because it's less like this is my dad. Like I still miss him. I grew up like admiring this motherfucker, even though I want to like beat his face in. And so they have that that brief moment where they embrace, and then Nolan just drops the bomb on him and just like, yo, you got a baby brother, and he's like, he's half grasshopper, right up Umar style, you know. And so yeah, like that in and of itself was crazy, because now I'm like, I have all these like speculations, because I didn't read any of the comics, but they mentioned that like this specific species or breed, like they age at a rapid rate. So
their lifespan is 1 year.
One human.
their life. Oh, so they die after. Oh, interesting. Oh, fuck. So okay. So I mean, was he really worth like saving then? Like,
They
I'm sorry. Right. Okay, yeah. My bad. Like, don't cancel me for that comment, yo. I was just thinking out loud. I'm just saying, like that, like a lot of shit got fucked up, and I'm just like, that's 1 year. Like, damn. Like,
you know though, if your lifespan is 1 year, that species is procreating a lot.
Yeah, right.
Because you don't got time to be like, I don't know if we are not gonna be here in 3 months. Let's get it going.
There's so much I want to say, but like,
wait. So it's the species, but like it's a cross species now, because he's part human, right? So
no,
that
Viltrumite.
Sorry, yeah, So could that offset it then?
So
Umar,
basically,
you probably know the answer.
Okay, mild-ish spoilers. This baby will have like basically age really fast and then stop aging and go Viltrumite aging.
Oh shit. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I figured that would be the case though, because like the Viltrumite gene is supposed to be so strong that they will always dominate and take over whatever it is that they cross with.
Yeah. So it was cool to see that whole fight take place, and like Omni-Man and Invincible team up to take out these guys. Like that was a crazy fight, and like the fact that like I love the fact that like Omni-Man was like kind of like mentoring him during the fight and being like, hey, yo, like, I mean, it was kind of like tough love, but he's like, yo, you gotta step your shit up, or else everyone including you is gonna die. Like, you gotta actually be willing to take this girl's head off. And so you could tell like obviously because of his human instincts, he's holding back because he's never actually taken a life. And then you see him kind of go ham, but then he has that little like human moment where he resists killing her, which was really interesting. But like one of my theories is like, I feel like it's gonna get to a point where he's gonna. So I feel like, okay, so randomly, I think his girl is gonna die, and that's gonna Invincible's girl is gonna die. I forget her name. And that's gonna push him over the Amber. Yes, thank you. And that's gonna push him over the edge, and he's gonna start like teetering with the whole like not becoming evil, but like kind of like on an Andrew Garfield level where he's pulling his punch. He stopped pulling his punches and he starts going ham. And then Omni-Man, obviously he's not gonna die. And there's gonna be a situation where like he's gonna be conflicted with his human side and his Viltrumite side, and like that's like his parents are gonna play a big part in that too, where Omni-Man is gonna want to push him to be his go into his Viltrumite side, whereas his mom wants to save his humanity and help him remember who he is, because you know, I feel like she's gonna play more of a pivotal role in who he becomes as a hero. And yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting if it plays out that way.
Very, very interesting theory.
Umar is like almost confirming this with his expression.
Yeah, fuck you, bro.
However, what we know is that things are changing from the comics. So yeah, there's always a level of like things might not play exactly the same.
Yeah, that is also true. I know nothing about the comics, so I'm going in hella blind. But yeah, the only thing I hate about it is that it was a mid-season finale, and I don't know when the next part of this season is going to be released. And my girlfriend is asking me every single day now, and she's blaming me for it. She's like, "Why did you get me into this show if like she's like, this is why I don't watch series, is because I just want to watch something, have it end, and then never deal with it again. But now I'm like, I'm hooked, and so I'm like, I'm sorry, but I selfishly got her into it because I didn't want to, like, because I usually go to her place on weekends, and like I didn't want to have to wait until Sunday to watch it while all y'all are talking about it on WhatsApp, and I'm like left out, and I gotta like mute your asses. So yeah, I love this show. This show is like probably like my top 5 favorite shows that I started watching, and I'm excited to see what happens next. And I'm kind of glad that I don't know and I didn't read the comics back in the day, because I liked the element of surprise, and I'm curious to see how they handle this Omni-Man thing. I'm curious to see how Alan comes back into play, and how, like, I heard he fucked some shit up. So I'm interested to see how he starts to throw down. And I know there's going to be a big epic team up happening, and this whole war thing that you and Darcy keep talking about, like, I'm amped for that. So I just, like, I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible, and even like they keep popping up in my algorithm, so I'm like trying to like just watch random shit so it like disrupts the algorithm so nothing comes into my feed anymore. But yeah, man, I love this show.
It feels like you're just trying to like torture Umar right now with all of his facial expressions, and you keep just going on.
Yeah, I'm just dragging it out right now because I see you like squirming in your chair, bro.
Well,
Darcy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna jump in here. So I mean, I'm hyped. I mean, I'm hyped for more of Alan based on the stuff that I've already had spoiled about him. It basically just that he gets stronger the more he gets destroyed. But I've seen some pics of him later, and like he looks massive. But this episode, yeah, I thought it was really well handled, and like I love the elements of the was it this episode, the one before, where his mother was just going through the books?
Yeah, that's this episode.
Yeah. And then the
Both
parallel
the books, and also like walking the streets, like really distraught.
Yeah, and then the father saying like read my books, like that. Oh my god, nice setup there. But yeah, this episode just went like, when it was like, I just love how it was like, yeah, the Viltrumites are coming, we need to prepare, and he's like conflicted about it, and it's like, doesn't matter what you think, they're coming, and then boom, they're here. Like it's like just so you know, Viltrumites don't play on like typical like DC comic like TV shows like timelines where it's like they'll tell you something's coming and you have time to figure it out. Like, no, they just coming, and that means now. Like the whole bug thing was hilarious and weird, and but whatnot. But can you go back to the last photo 1 second, Tactix? One thing that was like killing me was the guy on the right, he just looks like somebody from The Office, like the show The Office, or like any general office. And when people get in their hand, like he's putting hands on you, I'm like, man, it just sucks to get like beat by a dude who looks like he works in accounting. Like he looks like he looks like the accounting version of Viltrumites, and I'm like, that felt like a low bar. Like it's just that was bad. I love how this like this grandma looking kind of girl is just using that ponytail. But then I love when Mark was like, okay, I'm gonna use that back, and I'm like, yeah, that was like when in I forget what the Pixar series is, but it's like no capes, absolutely no capes. And I was
that was The Incredibles.
Yeah, the Incredibles, Invincible. It's not that far off. But it's like no ponytails, absolutely no 3-foot long ponytails.
Well, the guy on the left, that's the right idea for sure.
Oh
yeah.
I think the guy needs to eat less because his stomach was too exposed.
He definitely knows how to pack light.
Oh, pack it up. But yeah, that fight was awesome. I'm just super hyped for like what's to come. I'm mad that I gotta wait for more. I literally pulled up this today. I was like, oh, Invincible. And I was like, no, it's not. And then I had to go watch Monarch, which I love, but I was just, he was not the thing I was looking forward to the most. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm hyped, and I'm just glad to see that you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, like for me, I would say that this was a really good adaptation. I'm really glad that they took, story moments to showcase Debbie's journey mirroring Nolan's. Like Omni-Man and her are basically, they're kind of going through the same thing, except he got it on with somebody and his dad again. And she's kind of like, broken. I liked how they showed the interaction between Mark and Nolan when they met. I loved seeing the hug. I loved them showing that like Nolan was like, okay, I'm gonna have to fight my son again. Okay, here it comes. Okay. I also like seeing that Nolan's psychology, like it's literally like a switch is constantly being flicked on and off in his head in terms of how to feel and how to behave. And he honestly doesn't know how to behave anymore. And that will come in later on in the story if they decide to keep true to the comics. The fight was awesome. I'm really glad that they started Mark's journey in terms of like how to fight, because like a lot of people were complaining in the first season. They're like, yo, Mark always gets his ass kicked. And this one was that in the beginning of this season has kind of talked about that, like he's actually almost doubled down on that front, not because of his humanity, but his like fear of becoming like his father, when before he desperately wanted to become his father. And this was kind of like, no, you have to embrace both sides. It's like you can be a human, but that also means you got to fight for your life and fight for others. And I liked seeing that, like, what I remember of Mark from the comics starting to show up in like the beginning of him starting to show up as Invincible now. So yeah, I'm loving the series. I hate that they're just saying early 2024. I want more specific dates and a much sooner date, but like,
yeah,
we shall see. But no, I'm happy to hear what my bros are enjoying. And moving on to our final topic, which Darcy minorly touched on. Darcy is going to give us a review of Monarch Legacy of Monster. This is something that's on Apple TV, and it's like part of the Godzilla universe. And I've been hearing a lot of good things about this, and one of those people who's been telling me about it has been Darcy. So Darcy, if I'm to understand, you haven't seen it, right? I'm assuming he is having internet issues. So Darcy, please take it away. What are your thoughts on Monarch Legacy of Monsters?
Yeah, so there are 4 episodes in, and it seems to be dropping on Fridays. I have actually really been enjoying this. I feel like this is needed for this universe, for this property.
Interesting.
Because one of the problems you get, like let's say like we take like King Kong versus Godzilla, okay? Yeah, we had 2 films, we set them up, but you end up feeling a level of rushness, and that mecha thing was stupid, but you end up feeling this like level of like rushed elements that happen, and when you bring it into this like show format, you get to really build the actual world around these titans, and that's been like really enjoyable. This show has been built in a way that is accessible for those who have not watched or have watched and just don't remember anything from the other films, because they're not diehards. They're just like, oh cool, movie, and then they watch and they forget about it. And so it's a mystery of like uncovering, but for those who have seen it, you see all these scenes and you're like, oh, I kind of know what that is. I feel like I remember that from this. And you get all these notes that feel very, like it's good that you get rewarded for the fact that you've watched the other properties, but you are not required to watch the other properties. There's like a scene where these 2 characters are exploring something, and one has let's say secret information. They know where they're going, right? And the other one is completely brand new to that environment, and that feels like a great analogy for those who have watched the other films and those who have not watched the other films. The CGI for the most part is really good. There's like some, green screenish stuff that I see in certain places, or things that I'm like, they spent a lot of time in this like winter environment. I'm like, I could tell it's a green screen background because the people just don't have there's too much skin exposure for that kind of weather. You know what I mean? Like if you were actually filmed on location, people would not have their hoods down. They would be up. like you don't go to Alaska and just be like, go, or like the Antarctica and just be like, I'm just gonna put my hood down. Like, no. But outside of that, like you have to suspend your disbelief on a couple things here and there. But it's just it's an intriguing mystery, and it spends a lot of time going backwards in time and talking about characters that like you're seeing in current time, but like what it was like in the 50s when they were creating Monarch, and then what it's kind of become. And there's like one of the main characters, Kurt Russell's character, is like, they haven't explained it yet, but like he should be like 30-40 years older than he actually is. So there's some kind of hint that like maybe his interactions with the Titans over time slowed his aging in some kind of way. And I feel like generally for every episode you've seen some form of monster. We've seen this crab. There's a spider, and they fight each other. I don't remember where I saw this one in the show. There's quite a few. There's like Chernobyl like environment, and there's like all these like little I want to say like bug like things that are like babies that come out. We've seen a version of Godzilla that they hinted at being like a baby and something happens to it. We've seen this newer thing that in the Alaska environment that has like no face but like freezes things with its breath, and there's just like this, they're hinting at some big event that is coming, that is as big as the G-Day that happened in San Francisco in the Godzilla movie, that referencing back to the one that Gareth Edwards directed. So that seems to be like the pivotal moment in their universe, that specific film. But there's stuff that happened before and after that the world is not aware of, but that's the thing that everyone knows about. To the point, like in one of the episodes, they have like in Japan these like warning systems that go off, and everyone rushes into shelters, kind of like in when they had the kaijus in Pacific Rim, where everyone would like rush underground. They had a very similar type thing to that, but there's also like this BS of like, oh, you'll be protected, and everyone's like, no, they're not really going to be protected, but they're all like doing it because it's like the safest thing to do. And so it's quite intriguing. They also spend the majority of this is the storyline is basically like that girl, I forget her name, but she was in the San Francisco G-Day event that came out of the bus when the Godzilla came in. Her father was one of the scientists, and she ends up going to Japan to settle his affairs after he passes away, only to find out that he had a whole second family, and she meets her brother.
Ooh.
And that's like that's a mystery in of itself. And they're going and trying to figure out the mystery, and they bring another person along with them, and they meet the Kurt Russell character, and it's like trying to find the father, but through that they're uncovering a lot of stuff about what's happening. And there's this imminent event that's coming, and we don't know what it is. Is it Godzilla? Is it something else? Is it what they're hinting at for this next film that's coming out that's supposed to have a whole brand new like version, like a King Kong that has powers kind of like Godzilla and would be a menace to the two of them? I don't know. But overall, though, the thing I'm really just liking is that because it's a show, it gives it chance to breathe, it builds the universe, and I really wished that they'd started with this after the Godzilla film, because I think that if you had the Godzilla film and then you started expanding the universe with this property, then everything else would have felt more earned and would have been better in terms of being able to, I don't know, like it just wouldn't feel like things are rushed, and that we would need as much, we would have these films where we're just like, oh my gosh, like, okay, yeah, so much happened, but like I didn't really get a good story out of it. So
yeah, like I do like your description that like you don't need to have watched any other property to watch this show, which kind of makes me more inclined to watch it. The reviews for this have been remarkable, like surprisingly good. And this is like that's like the critical reviews, and then on top of it, what you're saying is kind of also on point. Not that Apple TV is known for giving like shitty shows, but like this does kind of make me want to try this out because I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not a fan of the Godzilla franchise. Like the new movie that came out, Godzilla -1, the Japanese version of it. Apparently, it's also getting like massively good reviews. But this wasn't on my radar until just right now, and to be honest, I'm kind of intrigued to checking it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that it's worthwhile, like it checking out, and you know, it's fun at times, it's intriguing and mystery at times. The only thing I say I wish I wanted a little more of is like Gareth Edwards' epic scale, because there was I was saying this at a point, Umar, I think when you had to step away for 2 seconds, where the one thing I loved about the 2014, we didn't see a lot of Godzillas, was when we saw Godzilla, you saw the scale of Godzilla. Like people are like parachuting down on him, and it's like you're parachuting down skyscrapers, right? Or like he's walking by a skyscraper, and you see the soldiers, and they're like, there's like scales that are bigger than them, right, on the sides of him. And a lot of the other films don't really make you feel that. They make you feel like when he's beating up on skyscrapers, but you're filming it in a way that makes you feel like he's a normal sized person and these must be small buildings, right? Versus being like, no, this is the scale that we live at, and this thing is massively bigger than the scale that we live at, and we're nothing. And so that's one thing I kind of missed. They still have the same visual aesthetic that they've had in these other films, but I feel like that Gareth Edwards film had something that the rest of them just haven't had, and I kind of wish that would come back. But it's hard to do without a visionary like him. So,
Okay. Yeah, you know what? To be honest, like given this review, I actually might give the show a try. How about you, T?
Yeah, I've ever since Darcy first mentioned it, I've been curious about it, so it's definitely on my list of shows to check out.
Yeah.
Plus, you'll like knockoff Captain America for once, because he was so. I thought he looked familiar. Yeah, he was so easy to hate in the MCU, but in this, he's really intriguing. He's got a similar. It's a very similar character to the one in the MCU. He's still like a bit of a douchey army guy, but the interaction between him and the doctor, the one in the middle, both of the two on the right are doctors, but the first interaction with him and her, it's like he's being very sexist and racist towards her, but in like a very typical American army type way. Like he meets her but doesn't think that she's what she is. And then they have this whole interaction, and then later on, after she's like keeps putting him in his place, he rebuttals something back to her, being like, "But didn't you judge me the same?" And you're like, "Ooh!" And then it's like, "Okay." And then they get off. Then they're like, "All right, fine." And then they start like actually respecting each other, and you're like, "Oh, I like him. He's not that douchey Captain America anymore."
So. All right. I'm definitely gonna give it a try. I'm like Tactix says, I'm putting it on my list.
Yeah. No need to rush. You could wait for the whole season to be done, type thing.
I think I'm going to do that because I kind of want to hear what you say overall, and then kind of like take that and run with it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the smarter bet, because it's good, but I'm not saying it's like, oh my god, stop everything and check this out today. And so yeah, best to wait to see what the conclusion is.
All right. Okay. Well, I am going to volley it back to you, T, for our closing remarks while you still have internet.
All right, and Alexa's quiet today, so damn, I just said her name. No, we good. Okay. All right. Well, this has been another edition of Geeky Bros Podcast. I'm your boy Tactix. Thank you guys so much for tuning in wherever you are. Feel free to like, favorite, and subscribe. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on YouTube. All that good stuff, and we will see you guys next week.
Yo, it is just Darcy here, and Umar is coming in and out.
I guess.
Oh yeah. What happened to your audio now?
I have no idea. I barely heard any of that. So this is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all. Have a good night. See you next week.
Oh man, this is a disaster.